Welcome to Unruly 3, father of 3 unruly kids.
I'm not Rory. My baby need butter.
So I'm going to make a baby bed for my daughter. Here's some koa that we had. So I'm just going to cut this into some pieces. And then I have this nice big piece that is going to be the headboard. Now I have to run it through the planer. Try to get this all. This is the bigger piece. The other pieces, luckily, were all about the right size. But this bigger one needed to come down quite a bit. It was a pretty thick piece. And so I ran it down a little bit until I got it to be about where I wanted it. And then I'm going to take these smaller pieces and run all of those through the jointer. And I ran this bigger piece through the jointer too to get the final edge. Then I run these smaller ones through the joiner. Should have done it just one at a time, but I was just trying to save a little bit of time. My joiner is from the 1940s, so but it gets its job done. Alright, now back at the table saw. I'm cutting these grooves that are going to be what is going to hold the bottom of the bed. Is just going to be a sheet of plywood. So I'm just cutting a groove that's only about halfway through that board. So luckily I'm not cutting through my push sticks there. I got to move it a little bit to make this groove a little bit thicker. And it will fit on there. So I'm just going to run these through. These are going to be the sides of the bed. And then the base of the bed here is just going to be this sheet of plywood. Got to measure to make sure I got it the right length here. And cut the last of it. Alright, then glue the base of this bed together. You can see my daughter's race car back there in the corner. It's getting a charge right now. Alright, so I just put glue down on the bottom. And then when I put this top piece on, just get I used some clamps as well, but for setting up these corners I just used a little bit of tape. But I did put some clamps on after I got done doing this taping. I just didn't show that part. Then this is going to be kind of like the floating part of this bed, and I put these down on this piece of tape, put glue on the miters, and brush them in really good. Make sure I get glue all over the place. And then when you pick up the tape, kind of makes it into a neat little box. And the tape kind of holds it there. That's going to be the base of the floating part of the bed. Got to double check and make sure she's square. Alright, after I take the tape off, now I'm just trying to center it up against this base, the backboard, the headboard of this bed. And I'm putting some lines. Then I'm going to pre-drill everything here. I got a pilot screw on there. And it also countersinks it. And then I can put this back part on here. And then the top of the bed is going to fit here, but I got to mark some lines so I got it square. So I know where it's going to be. Right now I'm just trying to pre-fit it together. I haven't sanded yet. So I'm just pre-fitting it so I make sure that I got a good place for it. Got it equally on both sides, I mean. And again, use my pilot screws here. I came through this side, and then I flipped it over and went through the same one, but countersinking the back. That way I didn't tear out that koa. And I didn't want to screw these in super tight because I am going to be taking it apart. So I used a screwdriver and made sure that I took them out with that, so it wasn't super tight and didn't strip out the wood or anything. Now you see that little edge here is off, so I got to do something about that. I'm going to use my coping saw to get that tight on there. And can you guess what's going to happen? Yep. Cut through. If you watch, I got a little cut on my thumb there. But I did learn to cut the other way, that's for sure. I felt like Leonardo DiCaprio in Django Unchained when he cut himself with that glass and just kept on acting. No, I didn't feel like that. Felt like a fool. Anyhow, I'm gonna sand this all up, round these edges over a little bit. Did quite a bit of sanding on this, making sure I get a nice good round part, trying to make it all flow into it, getting all that black off of the edge of the grain there. All right, time to get the headboard on. Put some glue on to hold it down good. And I'm going to start these screws so that they can, so I know where to start, where the headboard or the bed part is going to sit on there. Because I did start them before and screwed them in almost all the way, but now they are in there. All right, here it is. You can see how it floats a little bit. And I'm going to put down some Minwax wipe-on poly. And so this is just the first coat. I didn't record the other coats, but I did 3 total coats of this. And then let it sit and dry for about 2 days. And then I went back and I just kind of brushed everything off with just like a really piece of paper is all I really used. And I just wiped everything down really good and then put one last coat of the wipe-on poly, so a total of 4 coats. And that koa is really pretty wood. The reason why I'm using koa is I had a whole bunch given to me from a guy local here who had a whole bunch of these. They were small little scrap pieces like this, and I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and he handed me, I bought a little bit from him, and then he gave me a whole bunch of scrap pieces that he couldn't really use for too much because he was making frames out of them. And so a lot of these littler pieces I had gotten for free. So they say the best wood to use for your project is free wood, and this was definitely a beautiful piece after I could pick and choose some of these pieces to use on it. Now my mother-in-law and my mom both wanted to be in this, but they couldn't figure out what they could do to do something. So I had asked them, to come up with something.
Now, what is it that this town really does well?
We can sew.
There you go, you can sew. If only we had known this earlier.
Ned, Dusty.
Sewing.
So they sewed, my mom made the mattress, so she sewed this part, and she sewed a fitted sheet to go over the top of it, which is really cool for being really small like that, and another sheet for it, and she made this cute little pillow to go on the top with the same fabric as the mattress, which is beautiful. And then my mother-in-law made this quilt to go on it. So Here's the bed when it's all done. Turned out really good. Okay, thanks for watching. Give the grandmas a comment down on the bottom. Tell them that you love their work. Thanks again.